Hello, Final Frontier 87, back here again, continuing on with our Voyager series. We're moving on to the next episode, which is actually first season episode 3, because Caretaker is considered episodes 1 and 2. Initially viewed, as one pair, but then they split it up usually for reruns. In any case, let's move on.
She's out of her mind!
If you will explain what happened, Lieutenant.
That looks like it
She hit me
hurts.
is what happened!
Your nose is broken in 3 places.
Try not to move.
We were having a disagreement about the power grid. Usual, she wouldn't listen. She pushed me away from the console. I pushed back. I was lying on the deck with blood pouring down my face.
Not a
Then
surprise.
what happened?
She said, sorry. Maybe you should go to sickbay.
At least she gave you some advice.
I love the doctor.
Hold still.
Don't worry, Lieutenant. I'll take care of this. I've confined her to quarters.
I would like her moved to the brig until formal charges can be
Ooh,
filed.
Brig.
Formal charges? Come on, Tuvok. We're 75 years away from the nearest court. You really gonna hold her in the brig for that long?
I mean, yeah, they could try her, but
The captain.
She struck a fellow officer.
yeah, I mean, we gotta have some leniency or at least
She's
do
a
things a
Maquis,
little
and
bit
Maquis,
different.
Sometimes you have to push people out of your way to get things done.
I noticed something here. I think this has been pointed out before by other people. Voyager's Tuvok's Pips here, he's just a lieutenant, but he has a lieutenant commander insignia on his collar there. I think it was just an oversight, even though it was never really called out, because later on in the series he would be promoted to lieutenant
I will
commander.
yield my authority in this case to you. However, I will
And of
make
course
full
Harry
report
Kim
on
will
my
always
security
be
log.
Ensign Harry Kim.
You do that.
Very dramatic closing of the doors. I also notice, Chakotay's Pip here is, it's that, field commission commander.
We heard the
Which all the Maquis have that.
They're in the brig for 2 months, and that all the Maquis are going to be
The
restricted to quarters
introduction
when they're
of
not on duty.
Seska.
Not true.
We just want you to know.
Interesting note
Before you
here
do
is
get
that
out of hand,
Seska's wearing the
we're ready to
science
back
or
you.
medical division uniform with the green
does that
teal.
mean?
wanna take control.
She's actually an engineer, and this is the only episode we see her in that uniform, which it
If I
was
ever hear you
noted
talk
that
way again,
she
I'll
was
personally
costumed
throw you in the
wrong.
brig for mutiny.
The actress playing Seska didn't know that, the writers ultimately didn't know at the time that she would be a spy. They kind of had an idea, but it got, further finalized as they went on.
The medical report on Lieutenant Carey.
Lieutenant Carey is an idiot. When I tell you
I
what
don't want to hear it. If you'd hit him just a little harder, you could have driven some of those bones into his cerebellum. So on the one side, I'm facing a Vulcan who wants to court-martial you. And on the other, I'm facing all the Maquis
court-martial,
who are ready
she's
to
just
seize the
been
ship
an
over this.
officer
You've turned this into one lousy day for me, Torres.
For just a few minutes.
So how long do I have to stay in here?
Rest of the trip, 75 years. Back to work with the understanding that you'll apologize to me.
Apologize?
Bond with the man.
I am not gonna bond with him.
You are if you're going to be chief engineer of this ship.
So it was always part of the plan
This is not another example
to
of my twisted
have
sense of humor.
Torres be the chief engineer. Initially,
But
from
Carey
what I'd
takes the
read,
line.
they
You're a
wanted
better engineer than
they had wanted it in the original, in the pilot itself, but they felt like that was just compressing too
What does the
much
captain have to say about this?
into one
Hasn't said a
episode.
word. Because I haven't told her.
But it also did help, with this episode, because they're trying to kind of, do some character building here. The interpersonal relationships, try to build those, and of course the Maquis Starfleet tension, which they had initially planned to go on and on and on, but then of course dropped it because it didn't make sense. Bum ba bum, bum ba bum. So something I want to also note here, I decided I switched the kind of episodes I'm watching here, as in I was watching just the standard definition ones, which in season 1 are very grainy, and they're harder to get through, especially, I'm watching on a high resolution monitor. I'm trying out some AI enhanced versions here of Voyager, just to see how it works out. So it's not scaled up, I don't think, not to like a full HD, but maybe like a 720p. But so far, so good. It's kind of looking pretty smooth. And of course, it's harder to scale stuff like this because these effects were recorded, it's more like on digital video, which, back at the time became more common in the 90s and then just as quickly then faded away. It's like, you know, I can see in that digital model of Voyager, I can see some of like the interlacing going on, but it's not bad here. You know, it's definitely smoothed out a lot of things. The contrast ratio has been much improved. And there's a number of people out there that, and myself, that would like Paramount to, you know, upscale
Captain's log.
Deep Space Nine, Voyager into at least HD.
As we maintain
but,
a course back to
you
the
know,
Alpha
so far
Quadrant.
nothing.
We're conducting what would normally be routine maintenance to the ship.
To the warp drive, we're all gonna have to get out and push.
What about alternative energy sources?
Yes, we are
Engineer,
always looking for
have you had any
alternative
luck
energy
getting power
sources.
From the holodeck reactors?
Not yet. We tried hooking them to the power grid, and we ended up blowing out half the relay.
Always, you always need a good conference room. I mean, it's like this is a critical situation. There's a Borg cube outside. Conference room.
Now let's move on to the personnel situation.
Sorry, we're late.
Neelix just barging in.
There was a meeting this.
Neelix, this is a briefing for the senior officers.
I am the senior Talaxian.
The senior Telexian. There you go.
This is the senior Ocampa.
Very well. You're welcome to join us this time.
I've been thinking that you might be able to convert one of your lower decks into a hydroponics
Lower decks?
bay to grow your own food.
What do lower decks think about
that? The replicators are down and that the emergency
I'm
rations
sorry,
won't hold out much
I'm missing
longer.
lower decks.
What about Cargo Bay 2?
I can do some wonderful things with vegetables, Captain.
Yeah, we're gonna find out how well he'll do things with vegetables.
We've managed to find a replacement for the transporter chief.
They had a transporter chief, huh?
Personnel?
I never recall seeing a consistent person for transporter chief.
Balana Torres. Just what job do you think she's suited for?
Chief engineer.
Whoa. Oh, and here's the tension.
Regarding sickbay, we still need a chief medical officer.
Electronic man down in sickbay.
Yes,
an emergency
the
medical
electronic
hologram.
man.
It can only operate within the confines of sickbay.
Perhaps we should assign somebody to train with the hologram as a field medic.
Only 2 semesters.
Close
And
enough.
he just
You
volunteered.
just volunteered to become a field medic.
Report! We're running into some kind of spatial distortion.
More spatial distortions.
Disturbance in the space-time continuum.
On screen.
Man, that was a good conference, too.
Gravimetric flux density is over 2,000%. We're looking at a type 4 quantum singularity.
More quantum singularities.
From within the singularity.
On speakers.
Fascinating.
Does it look like any ship you're familiar with?
Oh, yeah, I'm familiar with it.
Nothing I recognize.
They may be trapped in the event horizon. Open a channel. This
We're
is Captain
always running
Catherine
into some kind
Janeway
of
of the
space
Starship
anomaly, I feel
Voyager
like.
to the vessel near the quantum singularity. Do you need help?
A singularity. The event horizon.
And then some, you know, exposition for those of us that may not be familiar with all of the Star Trek technobabble.
Dangerous trade mission to the twin stars of Colombia.
Can we tractor the vessel out?
No, the subspace interference is too heavy.
Years from Ilidaria. They have sophisticated technology.
We have to get it out of the event horizon.
Bridge to Torres. We need a way to get that ship out of it.
Thinking we
Oop,
could remodulate
making the
the
call.
tractor beam to match the subspace interference. It might be enough to cut.
It's good
through the
expression
event
on Janeway's
horizon.
face, like,
Subspace tractor
ooh.
beam.
Exactly. Mr. Carey, what do you think?
But we'll need more power to the emitter array.
Very well. You're in charge, Mr. Carey.
You know, I feel like Janeway and Chakotay's, you know, relationship
Harris?
was fairly
Hold on, position here.
good. There were definitely times of contention. I think it got spaced out pretty well.
I'd like to see you in
And,
private.
you know, there were times where Janeway could be a little bit, maybe too set on a specific course,
We have a
and
problem.
Chakotay really did bring that good
And I think
balance.
it's time we... My problem is with you.
Me.
Oh boy.
What you tried to do just now was out of line. When you decided to call Torres in engineering.
I've worked with her. I know what she's capable.
He is the senior officer in engineering.
If you look at it that way, none of my people will ever have seniority.
That's the problem, right there. They're not your people.
I'm doing everything I can to integrate them into your crew, but frankly, you're not making it easy for me, Captain. Some of them, like Balana Torres, have the ability.
The Starfleet officers on this ship have worked all their lives to earn their commissions. How am I supposed to ask them to accept a Maquis as their superior officer just because circumstances have forced us together?
You know,
You're
and this
asking them
is
to
good
accept
points
me.
to bring up, especially if you had
You're a
been
graduate of the
someone
Academy and you
who
have
has
Starfleet command
been,
experience.
say, watching Deep Space Nine, Next Generation, and then you saw how the conflict with the Maquis unfolded,
I have
and then
no
you can
intention of being a
understand more of
token Maquis
these,
officer.
you know, aggressions.
Show me another qualified Maquis candidate, and I'll consider him.
Bellana Torres, I do consider these my people, because nobody else on this ship will look out for them like I will. And I'm telling you, you're going to have to give them more authority if you want their loyalty.
Theirs? Or yours, Commander?
I strongly recommend you get to know Torres before you choose a new chief engineer.
It's interesting. I mean, they could have the conflict, but Chakotay still maintains, you know, that level of... He's mad, obviously, but that level of respect, because she's the captain. He's like, I'm going to recommend you get to know her. And really challenging her. I'm enjoying that dynamic.
Holographic system.
Please state the nature of the medical emergency.
Please state the nature of the medical emergency.
Actually, I'm creating a hydroponics bay. I was told you could provide me with some nitrogenated soil samples.
That's it?
Hurry.
So let's begin. Trivia of medicine is my domain now. Pimple on a cheek becomes my responsibility. I've been designed with the information and the experience of 47 individual medical officers.
47 medical officers. Oh, which a trivia on that point is that number 47 actually is significant within Star Trek because it's kind of a running joke. You'll see 47 pop up from The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and Voyager. There was one particular writer, I don't recall his name, but he was part of, I believe it was a club that believes all mathematical proofs, or most of them, I should say, a good majority, come out to equal 47. And that 47 appears more often in mathematics than any other number. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. But it just so happens that he incorporated 47 into his writing in Next Generation. So you'll see it on, like, different panels or maybe in coordinates or whatever it is. And so other people actually started picking up on that. And so you'll just see that over and over again. And this is kind of a little inside joke between the writers.
Yes, sir. It shows that I've been reduced in height by 10.4 centimeters.
Wow, that's a pretty good catch if you can see it by 10 centimeters.
Would you send a repair crew down right away? We're a little busy right now. We'll get to it as soon as we can.
It's just that
I'm out.
Yep, the most senior... Would Kim be a senior lower decker? I mean, would technically be in charge of lower decks?
Seems like a very busy day in operation.
Or would he be the inspiration for the lower decks?
What's your name?
What purpose would a name serve a hologram? I guess they never thought I'd be around long
the
enough
inspiration for the name.
What's your name?
Cass.
Cass. I'm glad I could help you today.
You know, it's interesting with the idea. Of course, I've always loved characters like the Doctor or Data. They can give that insight into humanity from that point of view of, you know, the character's not human. And make certain commentary or experience things for the first time, which is so fascinating.
It's working. Beam is penetrating the event horizon.
And with the Doctor, you know, we've created a sentient being, but he's a hologram, but he's aware of his own existence and what he is. And I was just, you know, we had Moriarty in The Next Generation. Was that, like, was there any, like, ethics committee that this had to go through in the Federation to be like, do we know what we're doing here? I mean, do you know the possibility that, okay, the hologram could grow out of its programming, it knows exactly what it is, and is it sentient or not? I mean, now, of course, you know, this is looking after the fact, but it just brings up all sorts of interesting questions to my mind.
Tractor beam disengaged.
Oh. And we got a shake.
Move us to a safe distance, Mr. Parallax.
Garrett Wang had mentioned at a convention one time that the whole crew was sent basically some notes about that they needed to practice, you know, their shaking because the quantum singularity was going to shake up the ship. And apparently it listed out certain Deep Space Nine episodes to watch that he had directed as good examples of, you know, shaking with the camera movements. Because you gotta get that right. And I need to get a high back chair like that.
Come in. Have a seat. Commander Chakotay thinks very highly of you. He's recommended you for chief engineer.
We've been through a few scrapes together.
Huh, just a few scrapes.
Do you think you're ready? There's also the matter of your ability to command others.
It's interesting to kind of look at this from a different place in my life, because I'm at a certain place in my career. I'm an IT architect. And now I've had to direct others, review others' work, like be kind of like on an architecture review board for things. And, you know, for a long time, I don't think you believe in yourself. And it's like, because you don't want to like overdo it, like, yeah, I can do this. And then it's just kind of like in phases, it just seems to come more natural.
Thanks to Tuvok, we had the names of your entire crew by the time we left DS9.
Kind of wonder how many, like, what's the standard records to keep on a starship? You know, like, you have your Federation database, the medical database, but, okay, so they got their specific records probably from Starfleet Academy or from Tuvok.
Why did you quit the Academy, B'Elanna?
Yeah. Presser.
I didn't want to have anything to do with Starfleet then. And I'm sorry that I have to now.
May I request you activate
once again, that beautiful desk.
Your emergency medical holograph channel?
I miss my desk because it's currently in storage.
No. In fact, that is how I appear at present. I'm shrinking.
I mean, this is an interesting, you know, trick that they didn't have to do as much on the special effects for the Doctor here. They could just manipulate the video by having him on screen.
That is not, however, what I am calling about.
And I forget, this is way before he has the mobile emitter. You know, that was so limiting for the Doctor.
And sudden waves of dizziness.
Related to the quantum singularity.
Quantum singularity?
And no one told the Doctor about the quantum singularity.
And Captain, if we were in the vicinity of a quantum singularity, I should have been informed.
You're right.
Hello? Captain?
Hello?
Hello?
A highly localized disturbance off the port bow.
On screen.
It is another Type 4 quantum singularity.
You know, this now is reminding me of similarities to the Next Generation episode. I think it was in like season 2, where it was like that kind of non-corporeal, like smiley face. I forget its name. But it was like, you know, they would drop a probe off, and they think they were there, and nothing was there, and then they thought they saw the Yamato, they transported, there was nothing there, and then it kept disappearing, and of course, all the weirdness you need in a good sci-fi mystery.
Check the navigational log. Away from the singularity. This time at maximum warp. Engage.
Engage. It's like, I wonder if the quantum singularity is like... it's like shaped like it loops back somehow.
All systems report normal.
Of course, it helps that it's just an unknown phenomena.
I don't get it.
Oh, there you go.
No, and something's really wrong here.
Yeah, it could be that it's like, you know, kind of a little pocket universe. It's just kind of like round, and so they don't know that they're going like round and round.
Ensign Kim, transfer all the data on the spatial distortions we encountered to my ready room. 100 hours.
Yep, rolling up her sleeves, getting in there, looking at the science of it.
Lieutenant Carey.
You should invite B'Elanna Torres as well.
Fine.
I guess pushing. I think Chakotay really was a great first officer and pushed Janeway to be a better captain.
She wants you to attend the staff meeting this afternoon.
Well, I'll give you a full report on what happens.
I'll be there, too.
Oh.
Just remember, Torres, I'm the senior officer, and I speak for engineering. 1,500 hours, deck 1.
I mean, she looks like she wants to deck him right there. I don't blame her.
Broken more than his nose.
If I recall, the actress that plays Seska, I think she was in the Deep Space Nine episode The Search from the 3rd season. She played a Romulan.
So, I hear there's been some trouble down in
And I believe she's played a few other characters, too.
But it has been resolved.
No, that's not what I hear. The Starfleet people are almost at each other's
the
throats.
gossip.
I will never cease to be amazed by the human capacity for hyperbole. The situation may be characterized as tense, but one could hardly say that they're about to become violent.
No, you're not okay.
I better get you to sickbay.
Dizzy, can't.
27 other crew members. I have no diagnosis.
Poor doctor.
No prognosis, no recommended treatment. I'd appreciate it if someone would repair my holographic projectors before I have trouble reaching my patients.
I'm sorry, just...
I finished my study of the spatial distortions coming from the singularity. I don't know what's going on. The readings are confused, the data is contradictory.
Shipwide diagnostics have revealed nothing out of the ordinary.
I tried sending out a tachyon signal to
All
scan the
systems
singularity,
stable.
but all I got back was static.
B'Elanna, do you think you can work with Mr. Carey to clean up that signal?
But it won't work.
Ooh.
I mean, it was a good idea to try it, but it won't work. About the problem with the doctor's holographic projectors. It's like the spatial distortions
Being
might be
inspired
interfering with the projector's phase
by
alignment.
the side effects
That was
to
my
get to the
guess,
root
too.
cause.
If that's the case, I could screen out those distortions by setting up a localized damping field around the projector.
We could set up a similar field around our external sensors and communicate with
Here we go.
Exactly. And they may know more about what's going on than we do.
Dismissed.
See, I love it because it's like science talk, science talk, science talk. Yes, yes. I never caught that before. I think that's the moment she decided that that's our chief engineer. Need someone that can think out of the box.
Emitters on. I'm rerouting the damping field through the deflector grid.
We're cutting through the distortions.
Still garbled.
Remodulate the EM band. See if you can clear it up.
All the techno level.
Catherine Janeway of the Starship Voyager to the...
And here we are.
I'm applying the damping field to our
It's
visual
being
scanners.
reflected.
I'll see if I can clarify the image.
It's the Voyager.
That always struck me as strange here, and actually I'd even read that because Tom just said it's the Voyager, you know, which later on it would be just Voyager. It's Voyager. You know, Voyager beam me up, whatever it is. It sounds strange to hear that because I think they were still finding their footing when they were writing it, and I don't know why, but it's like when you say it's the Enterprise, to me that sounds okay, but then it's the Voyager. Just sounds too wordy. I mean,
No, that's
I don't
not
know.
it.
Just my thoughts.
I think I have an explanation. You're sitting at the bottom of a pond, which is frozen
so
over.
a reflection.
And you look up at the surface and you see a reflection of yourself.
We'd be staring up at the surface of the event horizon and seeing a time-delayed reflection of ourselves. You're right.
It's a
the only
paradox.
theory that explains everything that's happened to us.
The other ship is actually just a reflection of us. And the
That's why
distress
paradoxes
call
don't
is
make
actually
sense.
just the captain's opening hail.
That sometimes effect can precede cause. A reaction can be observed before the action which initiated it.
Which is an interesting theory.
So what do we do to get out?
I'm not sure.
More quantum singularities. I mean, this is be the start of Voyager encountering this kind of phenomena. I mean, I think it's
How do we
like
get through that sheet of ice?
maybe 10 to a dozen times this happens to Voyager.
Until it buckles.
Wait a minute.
In
what
some
about
form or
gravity
another.
cracking the ice?
When we first entered the event horizon, we'd be looking for a subspace instability in the event horizon.
I love this interplay between
Warp
the
particles.
characters.
If we saturate the event horizon with warp particles, we might be able to see them escaping through the rupture we made when we...
Oh man, I just
Take the main
this was some good
offline.
character
Mr.
development.
Kim, reroute the port and start
And
one plasma flow to the
showing
main
how
deflector.
well
Use it to
the
generate a warp
this
field.
group of actors just worked well together. You know, now watching this, it's an AI enhanced upscale version. The singularity looks a lot better. Actually, it's interesting. It does look kind of like ice.
Put it on screen.
50 meters by 10 meters.
Oh, it's too small.
That's the
I remember as a kid always trying to wrap my head around meters because everything's in metric system, right? And of course, growing up in the U.S., all on English units.
Captain, if we get too close to the rupture, our warp engines might make it collapse even further.
Rupture's over 50 million kilometers away.
Now, can you imagine 50
We'll have to
million
take a shuttle
kilometers
craft.
away? Like, holy cow.
You'll need the best.
We need someone who's familiar with the finer points of temporal mechanics. And unless you've been hiding your credentials...
Hey, it's not
I don't
you,
think that's
Tom.
you. B'Elanna, you're with me. The bridge is yours, Commander.
I had read there was an earlier pitch for this episode. Instead of having like 2 ships, there would have actually been like 3 kind of reflections, and the Doctor would have been kind of sent as a data stream to each one to like try to warn like the other ships. So it would have started the episode where another Doctor just appears kind of and tries to,
Shields at full strength.
you know, warn them that they're about to enter this, but they enter it anyway, which I thought was an interesting concept.
Get that beam online.
Remodulating emitters?
Dechion beam. Gotta have some good techno babble.
I want to apologize for losing my temper.
See,
I
already
was
some
maybe
character
a
growth.
little bit too close to home, you know? And believe me, no one was sorry to see me go.
Professor Chapman was. He put a letter in your permanent file, saying that should you ever reapply, he would support you. He
That's
thought you were
really
one of the
cool.
most promising cadets he'd ever taught.
I was surprised he didn't help me pack my bags.
Some professors like students who challenge their assumptions, B'Elanna.
It's good to have that mindset to accept challenges, not in a like hostile way, but in a way where it's a debate and it's how can we grow from this for everyone.
Academy than you realized.
And that's one of the things that I do love about Star Trek, right? Is that you can come from different points of view, but you can come and come to, you know, resolutions that can be productive for everyone.
Shields down to 62%.
You know, another note here, so what we're looking at for the shuttle, I think it's an unnamed shuttle, and one of, you know, we haven't lost any yet, but we're going to lose a lot. It's supposed to be, I think, a Type 8 shuttlecraft, but sets from the Next Generation were reused, because I guess in the first season budget, they didn't have enough budget to showcase one of the new shuttlecraft that Mike Okuda especially wanted to show.
Hull integrity has dropped 18%.
We widened the opening by over 65%.
Because I always wondered why Voyager had such a variety of shuttlecraft, because then in the second season we see the Type 2 shuttlecraft that looks more streamlined, and, you know, it's like, wow, for a smaller ship, like smaller than the Enterprise D, it has such a variety of shuttlecraft. And it was budgetary reasons.
Now 120 meters in diameter. That leaves us with less than 2 meters clearance on either side.
I remember seeing this as a kid and being like, uh-oh.
One of them is a temporal reflection. But which one? I'm getting identical readings from both ships.
Captain, the rupture is starting to collapse.
Pick the
It's interesting because you would think that the Voyager, that was the correct one, would have 2 less life signs on it.
Starboard.
The port ship is more likely to be the real one. It's closer to the rupture.
No. It may be closer to the rupture, but it's facing the wrong direction. The starboard ship is facing away from us. That means they're trying to give us easy access to the shuttle.
I think this was an early favorite episode for me because of B'Elanna's character development and then the interplay between Janeway and B'Elanna.
It's the port. Voyager did move toward the rupture 20 minutes ago when we first discovered
it. Maybe it's because it's like when I work with like some co-workers and finding a difficult IT solution, we start getting on the same page, we go back and forth. It's just awesome.
If you're wrong.
Yeah, if they did land in the wrong ship, like, will they actually land? If I haven't mentioned it before, Voyager is an awesomely designed ship. I've always loved it.
We're ready to dock.
And we're down.
Feels like a real ship to me. Commander Chakotay, report.
And that makes me wonder, did the reflection actually have any physical substance?
The rupture's collapsing. It's down to 110.
That maneuvering a starship is a very delicate process. You just have to punch your way through.
Gotta punch your way through.
Mr. Paris, full impulse power.
Here we go. Come on, Tom, you can do it.
I'm losing power.
They clearly have been practicing falling and shaking here.
Hull integrity failing.
Seatbelts. Invest in seatbelts.
We've cleared the event horizon, Captain.
The classic stock shot of Voyager. I don't know why. Seeing those shots, I know that they reused them for budgetary purposes, but they were good shots. It was physical model. Industrial Light and Magic did it. And that looks comforting.
The captain wants the warp drive back online by 1300 hours.
1300? That's impossible.
Come on, B'Elanna. You have to incorporate buffer time.
Lieutenant?
She needs to learn from the lower deckers.
Bank up and running. And lock down those plasma relays. I'm going to be counting on you, Lieutenant, on the latest Starfleet protocols, and
this is a good olive branch for B'Elanna to do.
I hope that I can depend on you.
You'll never get less than my best.
And that's the Starfleet way.
Lieutenant, congratulations.
And I mean, you know, think of Carrie's point of view. That must be hard, you know. But for what I understand, because we don't see Carrie that much throughout the series, and he pops up, I think, in like the last season. But apparently, he was basically
chief engineer.
He was like in command of the night shift, in essence, which is why we never really saw him. You know, I think we seem peppered out here and there.
But I think B'Elanna is going to make a fine addition to this crew.
If things had
I
happened
miss
differently,
Voyager.
and we were on the Maquis ship now instead of Voyager, would you have served under me?
One of the nice things about being captain is that you can keep some things to yourself.
Oh, there you go.
Is anyone ever going to come down here
Oh,
and fix
poor
my holographic
Doc.
projectors?
We're a little busy right now, Doctor, but I'll send a crew down as soon as I can.
I would appreciate a certain expediency in the matter.
Acknowledged. Janeway out.
Oh, of course Paris is gonna, you know.
I'm sorry, Lieutenant, but whatever it is, you're going to have to take care of it yourself.
I like you better this way.
His look on his face. Robert Picardo said that this episode really provided more insight to how he would portray the Doctor. And he's like, he was let in on the joke, as it were. Well, that wraps up Voyager Season 1, Episode 3, Parallax. A lot of good stuff in there. It was really a lot of character development, playing off the whole angst of Maquis versus Starfleet. Kind of showing that Janeway was a little bit more rigid to begin with, and then showing how her and Chakotay's relationship was kind of starting, and that Chakotay could push well enough that Janeway would keep an open mind, which is great to see. And one of the reasons this episode actually was so character-driven is that one of the co-creators, Rick Berman, he didn't get the chance to actually do anything with the pilot, so he hadn't even worked with the actors yet. So it was his kind of turn to really, you know, he really wanted to do a lot of that character development. Also, we had initially seen that Tom was going to be the Doctor's assistant, and from what I'd read, Rick Berman said they dropped that rather quickly. They said, yeah, we mentioned it, and then we were like, no, we actually don't like that idea. But it would be picked up later on in Season 4 when Cass would reappear. Overall, being, you know, the first episode outside of the pilot, it's a really good episode. It's very, you know, science, techno-babble, problems to solve, you know, and it's just that weird stuff that just always happens to Starfleet crews. And I give it a great rating for early on, especially being a first season episode. So if you like doing these rewatch reaction reviews with me, go ahead and subscribe. And I'll see you for the next episode.